Good morning, everyone. My name is Samir Sid. I am the Chief of Staff to County Executive Ball, and thank you for joining us this morning for our announcement on our next steps and community engagement plan for our American Rescue Plan funding allocation. And with that, I would like to call up County Executive Ball.
The COVID-19 pandemic has had far-reaching consequences beyond the direct health impacts experienced by members of our community who have contracted the virus or sadly lost loved ones. The repercussions of this pandemic are significant, affecting our children, residents, and businesses in a number of ways. Fortunately, the federal government, with the assistance of strong leadership from our federal delegation, passed the American Rescue Plan Act, providing state and local governments with resources needed to continue to address immediate and long-term challenges. Howard County was allocated approximately $63 million of the American Rescue Plan funding, and the first half of that funding will be available during this current fiscal year. Earlier this month, we submitted our initial recovery plan, which outlined our path forward for continued response and recovery after the pandemic. The plan includes early initiatives for the use of funding, which include providing services to disproportionately impacted communities, addressing the negative economic impacts of the pandemic experienced by our residents and our businesses, supporting our frontline workers who have put themselves at risk for our benefit, and improving county infrastructure gaps that have been highlighted or exacerbated by the pandemic. This approach ensures that our jurisdiction will continue to meet the public health demands of the pandemic, such as providing vaccinations, testing, PPE, and other items needed, and providing secure working environments for our employees to continue serving our community. Our use of funding will prioritize our small businesses, our local businesses, and sectors hardest hit by pandemic-related restrictions, and residents disproportionately affected by addressing issues related to education, housing, mental and physical health, and safety, and provide direct support for necessities where appropriate. Howard County is also focused on utilizing funds to emerge from the pandemic stronger than before by making improvements to county-wide infrastructure. The funding eligibility criteria allows us to make investments in water, sewer, and broadband. The vision laid out in the initial submission builds on the recommendations of our HOCO RISE collaborative report. This endeavor was chaired by former county executive Ken Ullman, from whom you'll hear soon. The recommendations of our HOCO RISE collaborative focus on the county's public health response, government response, jobs and the economy, education and workforce, and family opportunities. This funding provides an immense opportunity for Howard County to build off the work of the collaborative. And it's more important than ever that our residents and our businesses have a chance to be actively engaged in the process. Today, we begin this important effort by launching a community survey on Howard County's American Rescue Plan webpage. And that's howardcountymd.gov/ARP. Again, howardcountymd.gov/ARP. I encourage all residents and community stakeholders to utilize this tool and provide your crucial feedback. We need this to make this plan a success for all. Additional efforts of our community engagement plan include a public ARP virtual hearing, which is scheduled for September 29th at 6 p.m. Several stakeholder engagement meetings being scheduled throughout the month of October, and a presentation to the Howard County Council on November 3rd at 1 p.m. This plan will include a variety of methods designed to solicit input from a diverse population. And while we plan to use the long-term funds, we're also working to address immediate issues. We've allocated approximately $5 million for hazard pay for our tireless and critical frontline workers. These employees could not work their full-time jobs remotely and had to be on site at times, working directly with other employees or the public during the height of the pandemic. Additionally, we've allocated roughly $1.6 million in American Rescue Plan funding that can support the implementation of our body-worn camera program on October 5th, the day after the County Council will vote on our budget amendment to release county funds from contingency to support the implementation of the program. I'm hopeful that we will secure the votes needed to release the remaining funding from the Contingency Reserve Fund and serve as partners to ensure support of our community and our law enforcement leaders. Finally, to address the pressing issue of foreclosures in our community, we are allocating approximately $2 million in new funding to assist struggling homeowners to prevent foreclosure and stay in their homes. Kelly Simino, our Director of Housing and Community Development, a fantastic partner and leader, will provide specific information on that program and the application process. Throughout this pandemic, we've worked hard to engage our community, collect feedback, and implement effective policy that will save lives and alleviate the compounding effects of this crisis. Through this extensive community engagement plan and from our extensive HOCO RISE report, we're confident that the use of American Rescue Plan funding will set Howard County on a path to emerge from the pandemic stronger than before. I know this time has been challenging and uneasy. There's been a great deal of uncertainty, and frankly, for many of us, there is still uncertainty and fear. This funding is an investment in our future, and a reminder that hope is on the horizon. And together, we will get through this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you to the county executive for your leadership. Thank you for having me here. We'll pull out my glasses because now I need them. It's not fun getting old, but that's what happens. So I really am here because I really want to applaud the county executive and the administration for taking a very thoughtful approach to this important investment coming from the federal government. We all know that counties like Howard County, especially coming out of COVID, have significant needs. And there's a lot of competing pressures on those needs. And so it's more important than ever to have a community engagement and a thoughtful approach to think about how we invest these funds in this unique time. And I want to applaud the county executive and the team for the foresight of creating the HOCO RISE Collaborative. The timing, not knowing what was going on with COVID, none of us have a crystal ball, but to start this about a year ago, to really think through the areas that were really brought to the forefront during COVID, the areas of inequity, the challenges that COVID sort of exposed in access to housing, to food, to technology and education, were really sort of challenges that have existed in our communities, again, that COVID exposed. And so the fact that this group was brought together and focused on a number of key areas, jobs in the economy, family opportunities, education and workforce development, public health response, and government response, really engaged such a significant and impressive group of stakeholders from within county government and especially with, outside of county government in the civic community, the business community, to focus on solutions in each of these areas really does provide a nice roadmap to the county executive and team and the county council in making these important decisions on the rest of these dollars. I also want to applaud the county executive and the team for making very important shorter term investments, not waiting for this process. It's always, it's always easy to say we're going to appoint a committee and we're going to study things, and that's very important to do so you can make thoughtful, inclusive decisions. But we have members of our community in real need. So the fact that the county is providing this important funding to our frontline workers who work for county government, who have really been on the front lines of this challenge, also for foreclosure prevention for folks who are trying to get through this and make sure they have secure housing, and also the body-worn camera program, which is important to make sure we have a just and equitable community justice environment in Howard County. So with that, I'm really pleased to represent the HOCO Collaborative and all the groups that came together, not knowing how our work would be used, but knowing that it was intentional by the county to have this roadmap to be deployed for the opportunities and challenges that come together and or come next, and certainly look forward to continuing to work together to make sure that serving the county administration and the county executive so that we're providing the most equitable, sustainable community filled with opportunities for all of our citizens. So thank you for having me today, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
This announcement of $2 million in American Rescue Plan funding for foreclosure prevention demonstrates the administration's continued commitment to provide resources to keep residents in their homes. Since April of 2021, the department has been providing foreclosure assistance for our homeowners impacted by the pandemic. Homeowners that have fallen behind on their mortgage, condominium fees, or homeowners association fees after March of 2020 can apply directly to the department for grant funds to bring those accounts current. Homeowners with household incomes up to 80% of the county's area mean income are eligible to apply. We are pleased to announce that homeowners can apply on their mobile phone using a QR code or download the application posted on the department's website. Once the department receives the completed application and supporting documentation, the processing time is generally less than 14 days. We also provide referrals to free credit counseling services to help homeowners with budgeting and managing creditors as they return to work and begin to repair their finances. The Housing Department continues to allocate grant funds from federal, state, and county programs to provide rent and mortgage payment assistance to help renters and homeowners stay safely housed. As of September 17th, we have invested over $10 million to prevent evictions and foreclosures for almost 1,500 households. Residents facing eviction or foreclosure can visit the COVID-19 page on the Housing Department website for information on how to apply for this valuable assistance. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our press conference, and thank you for attending today.